Hello, and welcome back to the tavern. Today we have got something a little bit different. We've got a commander, kind of like the next step with the commander deck. We've got the new commander decks that, of course, have come out for KAMIGAWA Neon Dynasty, and they're pretty. These are pretty interesting commanders. Like, everyone has been really I've seen so much hype for this one specifically, the Buckle Up commander deck, which is the blue-white vehicles commander, and I know full well that I'm not a blue player. However, giant robots.
Yeah,
it's giant robots. You can't go wrong with giant robots. But before I go any further, who are these? Who is this lovely fellow beside me? Who I know, right? Look at him. He is style. He is grace. But I'm really bigging you up here. Who are you? And what was?
He's Miss United States.
Yes.
Beauty and he's grace. But yes, who are you?
Who
are you?
My name is Troy.
No, it's fine. My name's Jack. So me and Troy are going to go through. We've got a list of like 10 cards to put into the Buckle Up blue-white commander deck for the Neon Dynasty, and it's super neat. Obviously, we're going to preface this with a miscommunication on my part, because when Declan thought of the ideas, we should do something so like what we upgrade the commander decks with, and he's like, yeah, go for a £50 budget. But my brain was like, yeah, £30 budget. So more value than I had accounted for. So technically, like, you can get most of this stuff for well under £30. It's super good, and if not, like, price fluctuations aside, because this deck has had so much hype that there is a lot of fluctuation with the cards that people are speculating on within the deck. Before we go into the actual list itself, though, probably talk about the commander. It's very, like, it's not the face commander, but everyone knows this. But do you want to tell them about, read out who we're working with today, I think?
So we are working with Shurikai Genesis Engine. For 1 mana and tap, you can draw 2 cards and discard, and then create a pilot that can crew a vehicle, has crew 2. Can crew vehicles as if it had
two greater. So, like, the tokens will be 1/1s, but they can tap as though they can tap for the crew 3 cost. Yes. Which, because it's 2 greater, which is super nice. Now, Shurikai is what? It's crew 8, which is
pretty.
It's hefty.
Yeah.
But the cool thing of Shurikai is the main thing about Shurikai that everyone's got so excited, not even just for like vehicle stuff, is that this is just so much value. 1 white, tap it, draw 2, discard 1, get a relevant 1/1 for you, which has synergy with the general. It's just value. It's just so much value, which, and of course we've got the other commander, the face commander of the set, which was, what's the name of the commander? I think that kind of goes to show how interesting it is. I mean, the pilot itself is okay. It's one of those cards where, as the commander, I think in the 99, yeah, perfectly reasonable. But there's lifelink and vigilance, and yeah, I mean, there's no life gain synergies, and vigilance with vehicles doesn't really work because they crewed until the end of the turn. So them being untapped means you can tap with them, but it doesn't untap the crewed cards anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of like, equally, we're going to play the big mecha deck, so let's play with the big mecha. Yeah. Getting the robot, Shinji. Like, come on, man. Like, everyone, this set is just, everyone is just kind of like living their weeb days. Yeah. And we're going to embrace that fully.
Yeah.
Very
nice kung fu fighting.
Yeah. I was just like, is that cringe or just like kind of... You know, cringe culture's dead. Anyway, moving on. So we have 10 cards that we got today that we think you can put into the decks to really kind of make it much better. Obviously, these precons are really good. They're such good products just to buy just outright and just play out of the box. They're the best products that Wizards of the Coast make, just outright, in my opinion. And they really...
I wouldn't say the best, but for newer players, they are definitely one of the products.
I think they're one of the products which, in terms of introducing a newer player and having cards that are relevant to current and established players, they're really good, especially considering the other formats like challenger decks and event decks and everything that they don't quite hit the mark on. But that's the joy of Commanders, where if you want to play that really jank 8-drop, yeah, you'll probably knock someone out of the game with it just out of politics.
Eventually,
You probably will. So these are always a really good starting off point. So you get really decent value for them, but there are ways we can up our ante on it. So let's actually get onto it. So before I go any further though, so what I try to do with this list is we've got 10 cards, but equally the Command Zone, who are obviously the most prolific, most popular Commander content creators about. They're incredibly good. They did a similar video in which they were talking about 10 cards you would put in. And I tried to make sure there was as little crossover as possible. So this video was, if you've watched that, you're going to find some cards that they didn't mention. But there are a couple of cards which I thought bared repeating again. So out of the 10 cards, there are 2 cards which I thought they mentioned, which were like, oh man, you got to. This goes to show that these cards are so much that if you're going to make this deck and you want to upgrade it, these are really good includes, and I just want to kind of double down on that. So the first one, actually no, you can read this one.
The first one is Mobile Garrison. Whenever it attacks, you untap another target artifact or creature you control for crew 2.
And it's a 3/4, which is quite nice. The cool thing about this, it's as common from Kaladesh. So this is literally like pennies. Like this is a throw in, if anything. But the cool thing about this is the untapped target artifact or creature. Because what I like to look on these, I was like, oh, let's just find stuff that untaps Shurikai. It's got such a big value tap ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in addition to giving utilities, sometimes you want to hit face with the giant robot. So actually being able to untap it and either get another activation of the draw 2, discard 1, get more tokens, get more value. You've got a vehicle, so it actually has synergy with the rest of the deck. And it's just good for untapping all your good utility stuff, because there's a lot of stuff in the deck that cares about or having tapping abilities. So untapping them, not even just Shurikai. Shurikai gives you so much value, but this gives you so much more value on just the face of it. Like you can untap the creature that crewed it, which is really decent. Like even just that is enough on its own to make it playable.
It gives you the extra blocker in case your opponent's playing a more aggressive deck.
Yeah, and being a 3/4. Like the 4 toughness instead of 3, like the difference between that is so much more relevant than people really give credit to. So yeah, Mobile Garrison was a card that featured in their list as well, but it's so good. You've got to. It's so cheap. It's so good. Next one though is Cosima, God of the Voyage, which is, I guess these two are kind of like honorable mentions in the sense.
Yeah.
But this is a legendary creature god. It is 3 mana, including a blue for. It's from the Coldheim Sun, so it's from Coldheim, so it's a double-sided one. So you basically get 2 cards for the price of 1. Legendary God, it's a 2/4, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosima, and if you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If Cosima is exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return Cosima to the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and draw X cards, where X is the number of Voyage counters on it. However, if I click this button, we get the Omen Keel, which is the main side of this, which is 2 mana, including a blue for a 3/3 with crew 1. It's a legendary artifact vehicle with the effect that when a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library, and you may play lands from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled. So this card is obviously twofold, because you see we have Cosima on one side, we have the Omen Keel on the other side, and the Coldheim ones, like, they're not contingent on you playing one side to get the other. You can literally, whichever side you want to play at any one time, you can. Now, most of the time you'll play the artifact, you'll play the Omen Keel.
They both have benefits. Because,
they really do, though.
Because the Omen Keel will give you the ramp you might need to be able to further go into, like, your higher cost artifact. But you also have Cosima, who can come back in with it's
like mid to late game where you're kind of running low on cards. You can get Cosmo to give you a little bit more draw power if you need it. So it's super versatile in that, and like as much as it's 2 cards on just 1 piece, so you get 2 extra slots for the price of 1. This was obviously mentioned on the Command Zones list, and it's just so good. And obviously being Coldheim as well, it's a fairly recent set in terms of printings and such, so it's not expensive. I sincerely doubt it's really going to gain much more price. It's a super fun commander to play, but it synergizes so well with what the deck is trying to do anyway, that it would be a shame not to mention it.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got some goodies on here. So we now go into unknown territory, which the big boys at the Command Zone have not mentioned. And I took that personally, man. Some of these cards, I took that personally. But next off, we got Mystic Forge. Mystic Forge is 4 mana for an artifact, which is a card which I think people just need to be playing more of. If you're playing artifacts, just play Mystic Forge. You won't regret it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a card which you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact or a colorless non-land card. So Eldrazi, haha. But the cool thing about this though is that you can also tap it, pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library. Now that's just negative, and it is, but it allows you to filter off stuff from the top of your library so that you have the chances of seeing those artifacts on the top. So the cool thing about this card is it's just an extra card you have access to every single turn. In addition to being able to exile stuff from the top of your library, because your commander is directly drawing to discard 1, you can filter what you're drawing in addition to just being able to get extra cards off the top as well. You just have so much more. Your draw 2 just is not just 2 cards. You know so much more what you're going to be drawing as well. I think something that's also notable is that you may look at the top card of your library at a time. It's not revealed like lots of different effects like this, like Oracle and Mold Iron and such. So it's not like everyone's going to see look, he's got a Cycryph on the top of his deck. It's like, we need to be wary of that. It's
more of a Bolus's Citadel style effect.
Yeah, definitely, where it's you are in complete control of the information as well. And it just allows you to get so much more value out of Shurikai by being able to somewhat manipulate what's on top of your library. And if you're not able to draw it with Shurikai, you can just play it off the top with the Mystic Forge, because we're playing a lot of artifacts. But it's a card that not enough people are using. Like, it has had a little bit of going up in value since it came out of Commander, because this was probably M20. But it's such a good card, especially with like Osgear from Strixhaven. There's so many really powerful artifact-based decks that if you're not playing this in your artifact deck, I think it's definitely worth a look.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. I love this card. Skull Clamp.
It's just a staple for a lot of token decks.
It really is. Read Skull Clamp. What have we got?
Skull Clamp gives the equipped creature +1/-1, and whenever that equipped creature dies, you draw 2 cards.
Fun fact
for
about
1
this.
mana.
For equip 1, play it for 1. It's just so much value, because as soon as this Shurikai got spoiled, I don't know how the command zone didn't mention this in theirs, because as soon as Shurikai got spoiled, my entire feed on Twitter was just getting when the pilot won't get into the robot, and it's just Shinji it's just the memes, the Ava memes of this card, because you're creating 1/1s with Shurikai, and you just get more cards. There's so much value you'll be getting from it.
You have potential to go +3 on Shurikai just off of the draw ability alone.
Because of course, but the thing is, it's even better than drawing 3, because it's draw 2, discard 1, and then draw another 2 if you then sack it off with the Skull Clamp. But you're seeing 4 cards, and you're discarding stuff, but if you're discarding artifacts, for example, there's lots of recursion in blue for allow you to recur some of that as well. But it's kind of disgusting. It's kind of gross. It's so much value that it feels unfair.
Absolutely.
Very much so. So Skull Clamp, it's only so much to say, and like the +1/-1 thing. Fun facts: the -1, it used to be a +1/+1, but they changed it to a +1/-1 because they thought it would be too powerful otherwise. In fact, creating one of the most broken equipment of just all time.
Yeah.
So
especially in Commander.
Oh god, yeah. Especially also, it's actually had a couple of decent reprints. So it is considerably less than like I got like most American prices here and such, but most of them are under $10. But also, like in Europe as well, it's significantly cheaper just because of how the market works over here as well. So Skull Clamp is actually a fairly decent card to pick up, and one of the more expensive cards on the list. But it's actually genuinely great card in multiple decks, especially good in this one. This one's an odd one. Go for it.
Yeah, it's the card is called Farewell. It's 4 generic and 2 white. It has choose 1 or more. Exile all artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments, or all graveyards.
Which is really good. Now, the cool thing about this is a card where you don't have to. Like, this is one of those cards where the point of this slot is not necessarily to highlight Farewell, which I still think is a super good include. But for example, Austere Command is the premier removal card for this kind of a strategy because artifacts get the vehicles get around sorcery speed removal. So you're able to nuke the board and keep your vehicles, and you're able to create 1/1s with your commander anyway and rebuild your board as well. That actually being able to, like, Austere Command, even just Wrath of God, just decent board wipes, which the Precon doesn't have. It doesn't have many. It's like only like 2.
Yeah,
like 2.
The other thing with this is it gets around a lot of the death triggers because it's exile.
Oh my god, yeah, definitely. Like so many, like that's the one thing that mono white doesn't struggle with, which is decent, incredibly good utility board wipes. And there's so many that have been in the standard and are super cheap. We've got like Doomscar. We've got what's some more recent ones?
Cleansing Nova.
Oh, Cleansing Nova is fantastic as well. You could use Cleansing Nova as well. But the cool thing about this one as well is that in addition to Austere Command, like you don't like it gives you the option to get rid of artifacts, which ideally most of the time you don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
But because you can choose one or more, it means it's modular based on whatever's happening at the table at the time. Have you just been board wiped and all your artifacts are, and you're now struggling to rebuild? Well, now you can keep your opponents in check by getting rid of all of their artifacts.
Just ha 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 ha.
Haha, you do this to me, well, take that. If they Vandal Blast you and it's the feel bad, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to choose all. I'm going to just choose all zones on this. But the cool thing about this as well, which I wanted to mention, is exile all graveyards as well.
Yeah.
Which is super good because obviously having some level of graveyard hate in your decks is always like I always have at least one card in my deck that can answer graveyard based decks, because if you don't have something, they will just run away with the game so easily. So whilst a lot of the time playing Austere Command, and I would probably, if I'm honest, play Austere Command as well. But there are so many decent mono white board wipes that you can just slot into this deck that even if you don't have Farewell, and it's from the latest set as well, it's from the main set of Kamigawa. If you don't have this card for whatever reason, then any other mono white board wipes you put into the deck is just gravy. Yeah, straight up. What else we got? Ooh, we're getting there. Ooh, this one's a neat one. You want to go for it?
Yeah. So the next one is Manifold Key. For 1 mana and tap, you can untap another target artifact. 3 mana and tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. This one, it's a very interesting one because you've got the bonus where you can pay 1 to untap Shurikai, so you can get more card draw. But you've also got the commander damage element of 3 mana and tap. So you put your opponent on a 3-turn clock.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much Shurikai's got? Shurikai's an 8/8? Damn, he's just big for... Well, he's a robot. Yeah. But, I mean, he's thick. Obviously, he's thick. He is super thick. But the thing is, Manifold Key as well. Like, there are lots of little effects like this, like Voltaic Key as well, that untap artifacts you control. But like we said, like, it's... Like you said, the Voltron kind of commander damage angle of this deck is something... Also, like, if you're playing the giant robot deck, I want to hit face with the giant robot. Yeah. So being able to have a utility artifact that is super cheap. This is pennies. This is from M20. It was an uncommon. It's super easy to find. It's had multiple printings in many different places. But if you want to just get more value and you want to try and set up your board and you want to draw more cards of Shurikai, then you can untap it, get an additional activation out of it. But if you've got a board, it's not just dead. It's just like, Shurikai can't be blocked. Take 8. Just turn sideways. That's the cool thing about this deck, is that blue-white, you've got so many good control options, and Shurikai allows you to draw those cards and play instant speed. But Manifold Key is like, yeah, you could do that, but what if you also turn sideways?
Yeah. What if you also go, commander damage?
Just the versatility of this card. It's just, if you're going to play utility artifacts, it's like the thing with Mana Rocks as well. It's where like, they tap for mana, but that's not enough anymore. You have to they either have to be super efficient or have some additional utility out of it. And whilst this isn't getting you that mana, it's getting you additional value out of Shurikai by extension, in addition to being able to push damage through. Because whilst this is a blue-white deck and has lots of control features in it, you're playing vehicles that become creatures that ideally want to be attacking.
Yeah.
So being able to get a creature through is really like super good in a deck like this.
Absolutely.
I keep looking at these cards and forgetting what I've put on the list, and then looking at the card and going, oh god, this is gross.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's disgusting. So, next one is Unwinding Clock. Now, Unwinding Clock is a bit expensive. However, It is so ridiculously good. And it has a multiple reprints, and in less so in the Americas as the region, in European, it is so cheap. It is so much more cheaper. So Unwinding Clock is 4 mana for an artifact. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap. So your turn is our turn now.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, untaps artifacts, Shurikai. It's it.
Yeah.
But it's not just
absolutely,
Shurikai. This is the cool thing about it, is it's not just one thing it untaps.
Taps
Everything. Your mana rocks, because you're playing blue-white, you don't have access to green and decent removal and decent ramp in that sense. All your mana rocks will untap. All of your utility artifacts, which will give you additional effects that you can then tap again during everyone else's turn, and you can get, if you're playing a 4-player game, that's 3 other turns worth of value you can get out of it. It's hard to really say anything else about it. It's just so simple and so easy to use. It's just kind of, it immediately hits the table and everyone's like, guys,
Answer.
has anybody got removal? And no. Because equally, you'll be then playing at instant speed during everybody's turn, so you can just, and especially if you've got like flash and instant speed stuff, it's just
That's nasty.
being able to use it alongside the mana rocks untapping as well is just very magnifique. I mean, Unwinding Clock is just simple. You don't have to worry. But talking about simple, this card
Yes,
is
absolutely.
not in the original pre-con, and I don't know why.
I don't understand why it's not.
No, go for it.
This is a Buried Ruin. It is It's a it's a land that taps for colorless, but you can pay 2 and sack it to return target artifact from your grave to your hand.
So you know how you get to draw 2 cards, and then you also discard a card as well, right?
Yep.
What if that was a good card? Well, early game, you're like, this is high mana cost. I'll discard this off Shurikai because I'm not going to need it now, and the 2 cards I just drew are better off.
Yeah.
But throughout the game, you're going to have so many powerful artifacts, utility powerhouses as well. But Buried Ruin for pennies is like, do you wanna just like get any artifact back for 2 mana? It's like
you remember that big beater, that big powerhouse that you had in your grave?
Definitely.
There we go.
And that's the cool thing as well, is because we also have a discard. So like you can also subvert the cost of Shurikai as well.
Yeah.
Which is super good. And the cool thing about this being a land is it also taps for mana. And it doesn't enter tapped either.
No, yeah.
So even if you don't really have any relevant targets, it's a land drop, it taps for colorless, and you're playing artifacts, so actually the colorless mana is probably going to be able to cast most of your stuff.
Useful,
You're not nearly as color. You're not as heavy on your colors as necessarily.
Yes.
But this is so cheap. Like if you were going to get anything to upgrade this deck with, the cheap includes in this. The cheapest ones are so much good value. Like the cool thing about Buried Ruin is like it actually got a reprint in Jumpstart, which went really low key. So this is, and it's also had I think it had a reprint in the Osgear deck. I don't think it did. How did it not have a reprint in the Osgear deck either? I'm looking at Scryfall. This is it's like, so it's had lots of Commander reprints, but none in the blue-white artifact vehicle one or the Osgear Boros coloured artifact. Wizards really dropping the ball here.
Yeah.
This is so cheap as well. It's a super easy upgrade to make. Just get rid of any of the basic lands or utility lands. Just slot that in there. You won't worry about it. We've got one left. We've actually kind of gone through this fairly well, and this one's a spicy boy. We left a really good one for last. You wanna go for it?
So this is Tezzeret the Seeker. He's an addition to the Planeswalker that is in there, Jace, Architect of Fort, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, who, if we're honest, we really appreciate Wizards giving us Planeswalkers with every Commander product.
But
unless you're playing green-red.
Ah, yes.
But the thing is with Jace Architect of Fort is it doesn't do anything in the deck.
No, it doesn't really
it was kind of mid when it came out in Return to Ravnica. I think it was either Return or it was in the block.
Yeah.
And it was kind of mid. I think it's just not good enough. Whilst Tezzeret the Seeker, 5 mana, 4 loyalty, and 3 ridiculously impactful effects. So we've got +1, untap 2 target artifacts. We know this is good. Shurikai, untap, yes, we attack, or we can get more value from it. Fantastic. But it's also untap up to 2 for a +1, which means you can untap a mana rock. So this is also ramp in that sense, or more card draw, more card selection, or my creatures have all attacked. Let's untap them post-combat main phase and be like, okay, now we've got blockers. It's really versatile +1. -X, search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less and put it into the battlefield. Anything, just put it into the battlefield, not into hand, into play.
Yeah, like, so you could either go for one of the mana rocks that mean you can then filter through your mana better.
Yes,
and stuff like that.
definitely.
You could go for one of the artifact lands, which...
-0. And just get, because the CMC for an artifact land is... 0. So in addition to, like, what, there's the... Ooh, Modern Horizons 2, we got the common cycle of artifact lands.
Yes.
So there is a blue-white common artifact land. Not on the list, but it's an artifact land and it also taps with both your colours.
Yeah.
That's a super include, because obviously, -X, 0, and you can just get that into the field for free. That's a fixing as well, and it's ramp as well. Damn, I forgot. Modern Horizons 2 was kind of busted.
Yeah, I mean, it did have a reprint of all of the fetch lands as well, which was pretty
And
needed.
those lands are also fetchable.
Yes, they are.
They're artifact lands that state their type.
Well, they're artifacts. Yeah, because they're just artifacts as well. So if you're going to search for any permanent that is an artifact, you can just search for lands.
Yeah, but you can search for them with fetch lands because they're state.
Yes, you can.
No, artifact lands aren't.
Yes, they are.
Artifact land.
Yeah,
No,
no, but
they
they've got their land type. They've got island planes. They have that typing on them.
All right, we're doing this mid-video, because I'm calling shenanigans on here. So Modern Horizons 2, let's go to advanced search, and I'm pretty sure they are indestructible artifact lands, and they are not land types. I will bet money on it right now. I will bet money on it right this second. This is how.
Yeah, you win the money.
Got you. No land types.
Oh no, it was Kaldheim that had the
the snow common ones, which did have them.
Yes.
He's doing the dance.
Well done. Well done.
Either way, the common artifact lands are super good, and equally, you can play a blue-white one in this one as well, and they were common. They were just so good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Tezzeret the Seeker is. Did I use the same? No, I did create a new tab. I was like immediately like, no, I must disprove. I must keyboard warrior this right now. We haven't actually tab. It does have a -5. It has its ultimate, which isn't as impactful as the other ones. You will be using the -X and the +1 more so, but -5 artifacts you control become artifact creatures with base power 5/5 until the end of the turn.
And that includes the vehicles themselves as well.
Yeah, which again, like this card synergizes so ridiculously well without being made specifically for the deck that can you imagine if this was the Planeswalker instead of Jace? Oh, that would
definitely have made the decker.
Oh, it's so much more value. But equally, America's a little bit more expensive, but European, this is actually super cheap.
Yeah.
This is well under €10. Last time I checked, I think. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's single digits. It's super cheap. Has a fair few reprints as well. It's had Modern Masters reprints. It's had enough. There's enough stock out there for you to get it, and it to not be too stressful on the wallet. So yeah, I didn't have an outro planned.
Nice.
Yeah. No. So anyway, of course, those are the 10 cards that we suggest that you put into the Buckle Up Blue-White Commander deck for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. We do have a video planned for the red-green one, which is Shishiro the Shattered Blade. Yes. Which is super cool, which is, of course, the Modify Gruul list, which will be coming to you soon. But if you have any thoughts on the cards what we said today, because there's so many more cards we could put in this deck. Obviously, we wanted to be a bit more timely with the budget and such, but there's so many really powerful upgrades you could put in there. But let us know in the comments. If you have any other thoughts, let us know. And if you like this video, do like it, ring the bell, do all the engagement stuff. But until then, we'll see you soon.